Welcome to the ZeroLine, produced by Resolute Square. I'm Sergeant Sarah Ashton-Cirillo of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and every week we'll be bringing you inside Ukraine's war for liberty and liberation against the Russian enemy, while explaining how a victory by us on the battlefield isn't just vital for the Ukrainian people, but for the world as a whole. We will push back against the lies regarding this war for freedom and take you straight to the front lines of the fight for democracy.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of ZeroLine from Resolute Square. I'm Lisa Senecal, and I am here today with Sarah Ashton-Cirillo, and we also have a special guest returning because it was so amazing to have him here before, Oleksandr Musiienko. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for this invitation.
Oh, absolutely. Oleksandr is the head of the Kiev-based Center for Military and Legal Studies. And is a true expert on everything that we really need to be focusing on right now. So once again, Oleksandr, thank you for being here. And Sarah, I'm going to let you take it away.
So that introduction of Oleksandr it explains a little bit about this guy for guests who haven't seen him before, but it doesn't explain the depth of his knowledge regarding everything Ukraine, but also his geopolitical knowledge. Over the last several weeks and months, Oleksandr has been in fine form, speaking to foreign media, going to foreign events. And I'm going to begin by asking you this, Oleksandr. The outcome of the Munich Security Conference, how did it leave you feeling after some of the events that took place there?
Well, what I've noticed, the role of Europe, because what I can see is that European countries trying to understand and, to rethink about the role of Europe in the future. And that European politicians, they understand that, look, we need to stop and to think what's happening right now. And we need to give more, we need to invest more in our defense, we need to invest more to the defense industry, we need to support more Ukraine, because we understand that the main threat right now for Europe, for the European security, Russia, the main threat right now. So, and the battlefield right now in Ukraine, the battlefield for freedom and for the European future. And what I've noticed that more European politicians, they are coming to this, and they're thinking in this way, and they're trying to refresh the way of supporting for Ukraine. I can just explain of Czech president, the president of the Czech Republic, Petr Pavel, and he told that, look, we found several 100,000 shells, artillery shells for Ukraine. We found this in Europe here, and we found some weapons in Europe here on the stockpile somewhere. They are here right now. We just need to invest. We just need to buy. We need to find money. It's not so hard to do. So let's do it. And what I saw also, and what I noticed that some statements of the Danish prime minister, yes, and she told that, look, we will give all artillery what we have to Ukraine right now, because we understand that the main threat and the battle for the freedom is right now there, not somewhere near Copenhagen or somewhere here in Ukraine. And so I can see that Europeans there understand, and that's a very good point, because they need to understand, of course. That after World War II, European politicians, they knew that, look, United States will guarantee our security. Everything will be fine in the Cold War. Yes, we will be protected because nuclear weapons, American nuclear weapons somewhere in Belgium, in Netherlands, in Germany, and so on. Everything will be fine. So we are protected. And that's good. That's great, because they have America. That's very good. we want to have too, support from United States, because we understand the most powerful nation in the world. Yes, but look. But if we will do more for our security, If we will invest more, if we will spend more money, that will be good, because we will protect Europeans, we will protect our freedom, we will protect our values. And we also need to do something for this, because that depends not only from Ukrainians today, that depends also from Germans, from French, from Poland, and so on. That's the common, I think, the common thing, because the common threats for everyone. So I've noticed this on Munich conference.
Oleksandr, it's very encouraging to hear that Europe is staying united and recommitting themselves, those countries, to this fight and supporting Ukraine, and they get it that this is not just a Ukraine fight. We're having a little more trouble with that in the United States. And we have, as you well know, people like our Senator J.D. Vance going to Munich and wanting to write off this as already a Putin win, and why bother? But that isn't our majority. But our system here makes it the minority voice who has control of our house has a lot of control over what's going to happen with the funding. So I know Europe is united and recommitted, but how does this? I'm going to say it's a delay. It's not going to last. But how is this delay impacting all of our allies who get it, and the U.S. hasn't quite gotten there yet?
Yeah, you know that, first of all, what I need to say about different minds, some people, some senators can think that, look, everything bad, we don't need to support Ukraine more, because you know that Russians will win, and so on and so on and so on. That's a mistake. What I think that's a very big mistake, because look, let's look to the historical examples, not just look like I will not do the Putin, what Putin did in the interview with Carlson. I'm not I'm not will be in the history depth, in the history somewhere 1,000 years ago. No.
I want
Just
to, but I want to throw something out there for the audience that doesn't realize it, though. Kiev existed for centuries before Moscow was ever even
yeah,
founded as a village. I just had to
yeah.
throw that out there. Please continue, Oleksandr Musiienko.
Yeah, exactly. Just two examples, just two examples from the 20th century that look, some people thought and some politicians thought that, I don't know, France and Britain, they were lost Germans in the World War One. And when we saw that United States was helped to European countries, to France and Britain, to win, they won this war. Also, the same example in the World War Two. I just remember Second Front, and that was very helpful. So, but some people saw that, look, probably maybe Britain will lose this war if without supporting of the United States. So, United States has a great examples how to help and how to win a lot of wars just with the supporting. That's very important point. The second point that, of course, about delaying. In these days we will have anniversary of, we will have 2 years of Russia's full-scale invasion to Ukraine, and 10 years when this war has begun, from the annexation of Crimea, illegal occupation of Crimea, and Donbas, and so on and so on. 10 years already, and 2 years of full-scale invasion. And we need to think about these 2 years and 10 years. We need to think what we did, what mistakes was, and what we need to fix for common winning. That's very important. And what I think that we need to think about delaying, because look, we spoke before full-scale invasion. I remember these days with Ukrainian journalists here, with the experts, and this was, we were talking about, for example, supplying of weapons. We've got javelins in those times, and of course, if we had 2 years ago, before full-scale invasion, American artillery systems, for example, or European artillery, of course, we did more. So the main things what I think that to fix some problems and mistakes, that means delaying. We cannot have any delaying of supporting, because that's very important. I can just show one example. Look, if we will have ATACMS missile or Taurus missile, German-produced missile, for example, to the end of this week, we can destroy Crimean bridge, we can broken up Russian logistic lines, and Russians will have a huge problems. But if we will have the same missiles, for example, in June or on May, what Russians will do? They will build a railway from Mariupol on the occupied territory to the Crimea, and they will try to find a way what to do if we will break their logistic lines somewhere, I don't know, on May. So time is very important. And now it's very important to understand that, look, not just weapon. We are not talking about just weapons that we need. Of course we need. We are talking also about the time, about the temp of operations. That's very important to understand. So we need some weapons in time, because we need to strike Russian ammunition depot. We need to strike their logistics lines. We need to have success, and we will do this.
Let me jump in there, Oleksandr. You mentioned time, and you brought up some excellent points. It's not just let's get weapons to have them. You're pointing out exactly what we can do with these weapons. I'd like to pivot just a bit since we last had you on. We now have a new commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian Defense Forces, General Syrskyi. It has been just about 2 weeks since he's been appointed, 12 days now since his official appointment as the commander-in-chief. Does he have the understanding and the ability and willingness? So we know that he's been incredibly successful on the battlefield. We know, personally, as soldiers, we're all loyal to him. Does he have the willingness to utilize these Western weapons in a way that will be most effective? Or are we going to see maybe some sort of repeat of what happened in 2023?
He realized, of course, and he has a lot of willingness. I think that he is, I can compare him, to probably General Patton from the World War II times.
Wow.
He is very, yes, because he is like this person, because he understands everything what's happening on the battlefield. He understands that time is very important. Time very important, and we need to use. He understands that, look, probably we need to concentrate our forces on some direction, maybe on 1-2 direction, not on the whole front line, because we have a huge distance of front line, and of course we understand that we need to take some and we need to choose some direction when we will strike with more efficiency and with our powers. That's very important. So he understands this, and I think that he will be, more, even in the normal way. I just want to you understand me clearly when I am talking about risks. Yes, some risks. I mean normal risks. So that's not bad for the commanders. It's not bad when commanders can be risky, more than someone expects. So, but in normal way, not just to over risk in the situation and then lost everything. No, just in normal situation. So I think that he understands this. Moreover, I think that he understood also the situation because he was appointed in time in the hard times. I think you understand, because the current situation on the battlefield, and he has objectives to stop Russian offensive operation right now, to build a strong defense lines on the front line and to stop this offensive operation, then to prepare our forces to the new attacks, probably new offensive, counteroffensive, maybe next year. Maybe we will see. I don't know. It will depend also from the Western support and supplying of weapons. So that's the main three objectives to our new commander-in-chief. And of course, I think that he understood this and understands it, and he will do everything to, I think, just to protect, to defend Frontline, and also to continue preparation for maybe a future offensive operation from our side.
So Sarah alluded to the troops being behind the new commander-in-chief. There was certainly a lot of chatter prior to the change being made about, how disheartening this was going to be for Ukrainian forces and how devoted they were to the existing commander-in-chief. Can you talk a little bit about the morale of the forces and the commitment not only to Ukraine but to their new leader?
Well, probably you saw some publications in media, in American media also, about the situation on the front line, and they're trying to explain sometimes that we have somewhere a low moral because of the situation and so on. But what I can see that we need just to look on the situation on the front line. And okay, if we have so low moral in our forces, so why we are so successful in our defense? That's very important point of view, because look, we are trying to stop Russian offensive operation on the eastern front line on different directions, 5 directions at least, and our forces doing the best in this situation. Russians has only success in Avdiivka. That of course because of using a lot of bombs and using military jets. They have warplanes and so on. But we are striking them by Patriot systems. Yes, we are doing this. So I think that the main point and the main example to look on the map and to see how Ukrainian forces protect frontline. And however, we have some troubles with the supplying of weapons. We know about them. That's not secret, and we are not hiding this. We understand this, but we are trying to do all the best to defend our front line. That's the main. The second point, I do not see any problems with the changing of commander-in-chief. I think, and I spoke for several commanders, officers, and also just soldiers or sergeants from the front line. And the main issue, weapons, supplying artillery shells, drones, and so on. The main issue, which people talking from the front, we need to have more weapons just to stop Russian aggression and just to destroy as much as we can their tanks, their military vehicles, ammunition, and so on. That's the main issue. And if soldiers disturbed by something on the front line or disappointed by something, they are disappointed because of weapons. If they do not have enough weapons, of course they are disappointed, and they can have, and this can have impact on the moral, but not changing in the general staff or commander-in-chief. Everything, in this point of view, everything is okay.
Oleksandr, thanks for giving us insight into our defenders' mindset. I want to speak on something very specific that has unfolded over the last couple of days. Speaking of a city that had been at the front lines for the 10 years that you were talking about earlier, Avdiivka. And there was an area in Avdiivka or near it called Zenit. Both areas were strategically redeployed, as I would put it, by General Syrskyi. Now, some folks have come out, even in the West, even in Europe, who support Ukraine, and said that the withdrawal took too long. My argument, as a supporter of General Syrskyi, was that, in fact, with him acting to withdraw our troops, to withdraw my colleagues in the armed forces of Ukraine, within 6 days of him being appointed commander-in-chief by President Zelensky, that in fact showed his leadership, showed his courage to make tough choices. Can you talk a little bit about Avdiivka and a little bit about what it meant strategically and what it means going forward, as well as General Syrski's leadership in that area?
Well, I need to say that Russians lost a lot of tanks, soldiers, armored vehicles, and so on during this battle for Avdiivka. They paid a huge price for this, and that means that they have more political and psychological and propaganda, objectives than military objectives, because they paid a huge price. And that's very important to understand, because Ukrainian forces had strong defense positions in Avdiivka, which they built during the years, because Avdiivka located near the front line, near Donetsk, from the beginning of the Russian invasion to Ukraine, on the eastern Ukraine to Donbas. And so Ukrainian forces constructed a huge defense and built a huge defensive line there. And that was, from Avdiivka, that was good to have positions and to destroy Russian forces from there. But of course, we understand that Avdiivka was almost encircled by Russian forces for several years. And of course, they have a good condition.
I would like to highlight what you just said, not to cut off your train of thought, but this is important to highlight. The war's been going on 10 years, as you talked. 2 years full scale, 10 years of war. You just pointed out something that a lot of people have not really touched on. Avdiivka was nearly encircled for multiple years, even before the full-scale invasion. And that ties into the cost of what Russia paid in trying to take this city.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for exactly. Yes, correct. And so when we saw that Russians had some success, nevertheless, they lost a lot of people. They have huge losses, casualties, and so on. But they had a lot of jets, warplanes, yes, on the sky, and they're using a lot of bombs. So Ukrainian commander-in-chief, made a decision to withdraw Ukrainian and regrouping Ukrainian forces from Avdiivka. That was, and I suppose that he made this decision, not on Saturday when we saw official statement, but earlier, few days ago. Why? Because we cannot announce what we will do with our forces, with our soldiers, in this current time. Not, of course, we are doing this with some, we are postponed these statements when we understand that our forces regroup and withdrawing, and then, so he did it, and it was a very good decision, correct decision, and he told about this. And now what I can see, that look, if we will look on the front line right now, Russians didn't attack with so much powerful like they used to attack several few weeks ago, for example, 2 or 3 weeks ago. They are trying to stop these attacks, regrouping, because they have a lot of losses, and trying to find the way how to attack on different directions, on other directions. So I think that means that Ukrainian forces did all the best from this defense, did everything. And by the way, Ukrainian air defense system had shut down 4 warplanes on the Avdiivka direction, Russian warplanes. That's also important.
We talk mostly about what's happening on the ground, but things at sea have not been going particularly well for Russia, which is really incredible because when this full-scale invasion happened 2 years ago, what we in the West heard was Ukraine has no navy and has no ability to be able to fight back against the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. My understanding now is a third of that fleet no longer exists, courtesy of Ukrainian efforts. Can you talk a little bit about not just what that costs Russia in their ships, but that it ends up being an overall drain on their military system because resources have to go back in to building up the Black Sea fleet?
Yeah, thank you for this question because we have really a successful strategy, Ukrainian strategy on the sea, and we have supporting in this with our partners. That's also very important. Britain, United States, France, Norway, which we can call, Sea Coalition. Yes, which help Ukrainian to have success and victories on the Black Sea. And what I can see that first of all, Russians already lost 33% of their Black Sea fleet already. That's a lot because Ukrainian forces already destroyed Russian submarine. They destroyed a big ship like Moscow. They destroyed, also other types of Russian ships, and also Ukrainian forces had struck headquarters of the Black Sea fleet of Russia in the occupied Sevastopol. And so, as I know, commander of Black Sea Fleet, Admiral Sokolov, he was dismissed. He was he was resigned because he didn't do much for defense of the Black Sea Fleet. So of course,
I would say
we
not.
have
I would
yes,
not want to be him.
we have we have really successful story. I presume and I think that I'm confident that Ukrainian forces will continue to use sea drones, to use missiles such as Storm Shadow or Scalped G, and to use Ukrainian military just to strike Russians' Black Sea Fleet and some positions and some stockpiles on the ground, and air defense systems. Russian air defense system was on the ground, and also will strike their ships. And look, Russians right now hiding their ships in Novorossiysk and in Abkhazia somewhere. They are hiding their ships. They are looking afraid, and they cannot do anything because they cannot change their ships because they need to move through Bosphorus Strait, and Turkey will not allow to do this. So they
I'm
cannot do
going
anything.
to
They cannot change their ships.
I'm going to just reiterate what Oleksandr Musiienko said. Russia is literally hiding their ships because after destroying 33% of the Russian naval fleet, Ukraine has basically forced the Russian ships, the Russian Navy, into parts of that country that they cannot move those ships out
Yeah.
of. And as you just stated, they don't have permission to go through the Bosphorus. Turkey is very clear on that. And so, as Lisa and Oleksandr were discussing, 1/3 of the Black Sea fleet, 1/3 of the Russian Navy fleet has been destroyed. And on top of that, they're doing what the Russian sailors and soldiers do best, which are cowering away like rats on the proverbial sinking ship, and in many cases, like rats on the actual sinking ship, thanks to our sea drones and aerial force.
If
Exactly.
anyone has not watched video that is available online of the drone attacks on the ships, do yourselves a favor. it is really impressive, and it's just one of the incredible bits of ingenuity of fighting differently that Russia is not prepared for, that they've encountered over and over again, because they invaded a country that is not going to be defeated and will just keep innovating to be able to fight back and defend itself.
Over and over and over again, they allow themselves to believe they're superior, and over again, the Ukrainian Defense Forces, along with our partners and the Ukrainian people, are showing just how Russia is teetering on the brink of defeat. There's no getting around that fact. Russia will lose, Ukraine will win. Whether it's 2024, 2025, victory is Ukraine.
Exactly.
Well, we're going to end it there, because my God, what could be better? Thank you so much for joining us again, Oleksandr Musiienko. It is amazing to have you here. We are going to have you back very soon. We're going to be announcing a special coming up within the next couple of days, because we do want to mark the 2-year mark of Ukraine's full-scale defense of its sovereignty and democracy. So thank you. Your voice is incredibly important here, and it will be in that special that we're having. So thank you, Oleksandr, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
It's always great to have you, Oleksandr. Truly, your insight is invaluable, and I'm glad that the American audience, the listening audience, is able to hear from you. It matters for the world's freedom.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We will talk to you next week, and look for a special announcement on Resolute Square about the marking of the 2-year mark of the invasion of Ukraine.